In today's video will be a continuation focusing on defining peace and conflict for the IB Global Politics HLSL new spec. This is the overview of the IB prescribed content and what we'll be looking at in this video today. Take a minute to read. What are the main specific causes of conflict? Conflicts emerge when competing groups or individuals clash over fundamental differences in identity, interests, or resources. These disputes can be driven by grievances, ideological divides, or unmet human needs. Institutions play a crucial role in either mitigating or exacerbating these tensions. Firstly, identity. Conflicts rooted in identity stem from differences in ethnicity, religion, culture, or nationality. When groups feel their identity is threatened or marginalized, tensions escalate. Examples include ethnic conflicts like the Rohingya crisis or sectarian violence in Northern Ireland. Interest. Conflicts of interest occur when groups compete over political power, economic resources, or strategic advantages. These disputes often manifest in territorial conflicts, trade wars, or struggles for influence, such as the South China Sea dispute. Greed versus grievance. This framework distinguishes between conflicts driven by material gain, greed, and those fueled by historical injustices or oppression, grievance. Greed-based conflicts often involve resource exploitation, while grievance-driven conflicts arise from systematic inequalities, such as the apartheid-era struggles. Human needs. Unmet basic needs such as security, food, and shelter can lead to conflict. When populations face extreme deprivation, they may resort to violence or rebellion. The Syrian civil war was partly driven by economic hardship, and government repression exemplifies this. Ideology. Ideological conflicts occur when opposing belief systems clash, whether political, religious, or philosophical. These disputes can lead to revolutions, civil wars, or international tensions, such as the Cold War rivalry between capitalism and communism. Institutions. Governments, legal systems, and international organizations can either prevent or exacerbate conflict. Weak institutions may fail to address grievances, while strong institutions can mediate disputes and enforce stability. The United Nations plays a key role in conflict resolution through diplomacy and peacekeeping. Now, what causes violent conflict? What do you think causes it? Have 20 seconds to think about it and jot it down on a notepad. Causes conflict. In IB Global Politics HL, violent conflict arises when tensions escalate beyond peaceful resolution, often due to deep-rooted structural or direct causes. There are multiple factors that could cause a violent conflict, and those can include identity-based divisions. When ethnic, religious, or cultural groups feel marginalized or threatened, tensions can turn violent, as seen in the Rwandan genocide. Resource scarcity. Competition over vital resources like water, land, or oil can lead to armed conflict, such as disputes in the Middle East over water access. Political oppression. Authoritarian regimes that suppress dissent often provoke violent uprisings, as seen in the Arab Spring. Economic inequality. Extreme disparities in wealth and opportunity can fuel resentment and rebellion, contributing to conflicts like those in Latin America. Greed versus grievance. Some conflicts arise from economic exploitation, greed, while others stem from historical injustices, grievance, such as Sierra Leone's civil war. Failed institutions. Weak governance, corruption, or a lack of legal enforcement can allow violence to flourish, as seen in Somalia's prolonged instability. Ideological extremism. Radical, political, Radical political or religious ideologies can justify violence leading to terrorism or civil wars, such as the rise of ISIS. Human needs deprivation. When basic needs like security, food, and shelter are unmet, populations may resort to violence, as seen in Syria's conflict. These factors often interact, making violent conflicts complex and difficult to resolve. Now, what is structural, cultural, and direct violence? Structural and cultural violence are concepts introduced by Johan Galtung to explain forms of harm that go beyond direct physical violence. Structural violence refers to harm caused by social structures that systematically disadvantage certain groups. It includes inequalities in wealth, healthcare, and education, as well as political representation. For example, systematic racism or economic disparity can lead to preventable suffering. Cultural violence involves societal norms, beliefs and ideologies that justify or legitimize violence. It can manifest in discriminatory traditions, propaganda, or historical narratives that normalize oppression. For instance, caste-based discrimination or extremist ideologies that can reinforce structural inequalities. Direct violence, on the other hand, refers to physical or psychological harm inflicted intentionally, often through actions like war, assault, torture, or verbal abuse. Unlike structural or cultural violence, direct violence is visible and immediate. It directly injures or kills people. Application: gender pay gap. Is this an example of structural, cultural, or direct violence, and why? I'll give you 1 minute to work on this. This would be an example of structural violence because the structure of some societies causes economic disparity. This economic disparity limits opportunities for financial independence and reinforces cycles of poverty. Application: Russo-Ukrainian War. Is this an example of structural, cultural, or direct violence, and why? I'll give you another 30 seconds to work on this. And make sure to jot it down in your notebook. That's correct. This would be an example of direct violence because it includes physical harm through military actions such as bombings, drone strikes, and ground offensives. Civilians and soldiers alike have suffered casualties due to missile attacks, air raids, and armed combat. What is nonviolent conflict? Not all conflicts involve war. Some of the most powerful movements in history have relied on nonviolent resistance, from Gandhi's Salt March to Martin Luther King Jr.'s civil rights protests. Peaceful methods have shaped societies. Nonviolent conflicts include demonstrations, boycotts, and civil disobedience, strategies that challenge oppression without bloodshed. These movements rely on moral authority, public pressure, and institutional change to achieve their goals. The key forms of nonviolent conflicts are civil disobedience, which is refusing to comply with unjust laws, demonstrations and protests, public gatherings to demand change, boycotts, economic pressure by refusing to buy or use certain products, diplomatic negotiations, resolving disputes through dialogue rather than force. Nonviolent conflict is often more sustainable and effective in achieving long-term change, as it builds legitimacy and public support while avoiding destruction. Furthermore, nonviolent conflict often results in positive peace. What are the different types of pacifism? And do you know any? Take 30 seconds and try and jot it down in your notebook. Different types of pacifism. Pacifism isn't just about rejecting war, it's about choosing peace as a principle, a strategy, or a moral stance. From personal convictions to global movements, pacifism takes many forms. Some reject all violence, while others oppose war specifically. Some see non-violence as a pragmatic tool, while others view it as a universal, ethical duty. Understanding these distinctions helps us see how peace can be pursued in different ways. Types of pacifism. Personal pacifism. An individual commitment to non-violence, often based on personal ethics or religious beliefs. Moral or absolute pacifism. The belief that violence is never justified, even in self-defense or extreme circumstances. Anti-war pacifism. Opposition to war specifically rather than all forms of violence. Non-violent pacifism. Advocating for peaceful resistance and conflict resolution through protest, diplomacy, and civil disobedience. Feminist pacifism, linking peace with gender equality, arguing that militarism and violence stems from patriarchal structures. Universal pacifism, the belief that non-violence should be applied globally across all societies and conflicts. And pragmatic pacifism, is choosing non-violence as a strategic or practical approach rather than a moral absolute. Each form of pacifism offers a different perspective on how peace can be achieved and is very useful within our essays when we're justifying other perspectives. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe and take a little look at what we will be looking at next week and in the next video.